Joan of Arc was born around 1412 in the small village of Domremy in France. Joan came from a peasant family. She was the fifth of 7 children. Her childhood was peaceful, but the world around her was far from it. The Hundred Years' War between England and France had been raging for decades. France was on the brink of losing, and the French throne was contested. Joan grew up in a deeply religious household. From a young age, she developed strong beliefs and began experiencing visions. These visions would forever change the course of French history. At the age of 13, Joan started having visions of saints. She saw the Archangel Michael, who would guide her, and heard the voices of Saint Catherine and Saint Margaret. These saints told her that she had an important mission: to free France from English occupation and to help the French Dauphin, Charles VII, be crowned king. Joan was determined. She believed that these visions were her calling, but not everyone around her shared the same faith in her. Still, she persevered, convinced of her divine mission, and decided to journey to the court of the French Dauphin, Charles VII, to convince him of her purpose. In 1429, at the age of 17, Joan traveled to Chinon, where the French Dauphin, Charles VI, was staying. When she arrived, she managed to gain an audience with him, despite the skepticism surrounding her. Joan told Charles that God had sent her to help him reclaim his kingdom from the English. After a series of tests, including one in which Joan revealed knowledge of secrets only the true Dauphin would know, Charles was convinced. Joan was granted an army, and Joan took on the role of a military leader, setting out to bring hope to the French people and defeat the English forces. One of Joan's most significant achievements was her role in the lifting of the siege of Orléans in 14. This was a crucial turning point in the war, and Joan's leadership and determination played a key role in the French victory. Her presence on the battlefield inspired her troops, and the once dominant English forces were forced to retreat. Following this victory, Joan and Charles continued their campaign, and Joan was instrumental in Charles' coronation as King of France in Reims, solidifying his claim to the throne. The French people saw Joan as a symbol of hope and national unity, and her reputation as a military leader grew. However, Joan's success was short-lived. In 1430, she was captured by the Burgundians, allies of the English, during a failed attempt to lift the siege of Compiègne. Joan was handed over to the English, and her fate was sealed. She was tried by the English in a court led by church officials. The charges against her included heresy, witchcraft, and dressing in men's clothing. These accusations were based on the fact that Joan's visions were considered heretical, and her behavior was seen as a threat to the established order. Despite the overwhelming pressure, Joan maintained her faith and her conviction that her actions were divinely inspired. Joan's trial was both politically and religiously motivated. She was interrogated for weeks, but her determination never wavered. Throughout the trial, Joan continued to claim that her voices and visions came from God. On May 30th, 1431, after being found guilty, Joan was sentenced to death by burning at the stake. She was just 19 years old. On that fateful day, Joan was led to the square in Rouen, where she was executed before a crowd of spectators. Her death marked a tragic end to the life of one of France's greatest heroines. Joan's death did not mark the end of her story. In the years following her execution, her legacy only grew. She became a symbol of courage and resilience, especially in France, where her martyrdom stirred national pride. In 1456, a retrial was held, and Joan was posthumously exonerated. The court declared that she had been unjustly condemned, and her name was cleared of all charges. In 1920, nearly 500 years after her death, Joan of Arc was canonized as a saint by the Catholic Church, and today she is remembered as a national heroine and a symbol of faith, courage, and determination. Joan of Arc's life was short, but it was marked by extraordinary courage, faith, and resilience. She rose from a humble peasant girl to lead armies and change the course of history. Her legacy continues to inspire people around the world to stand up for what they believe in, no matter the odds. Thank you for watching this overview of the incredible life of Joan of Arc. Her story is a testament to the power of conviction and the enduring strength of the human spirit.